Flawed Packers weren't good enough for Aaron Rodgers to save. Aaron Rodgers yanked on his helmet and strode onto the Bank of America Stadium field one more time, the Green Bay Packers season somehow still alive, despite all the hardships of their season and all the imperfections of Sunday afternoon. The Packers had stumbled through much of the season and blundered through much of the game, but Rodgers kept coming. The football had bounced the right way on an onside kick, and the hope Rodgers had carried into Sunday still flickered. The Packers trailed the Carolina Panthers by 7 points when Rodgers began Green Bay's final, desperate drive with less than 3 minutes left and no timeouts. Rodgers rifled a slant pass inside the 30-yard line, into the arms of Geronimo Allison. He took 2 steps and lost control of the ball, and both the Packers' playoff hopes and the most enticing storyline in the NFL came to a sudden end as the Panthers took possession. NFL Week 15, Aaron Rodgers' return ends in defeat. Patriots battle Steelers. The relevance of Rodgers' return after missing 8 weeks with a broken collarbone was short-lived. The Panthers outlasted the Packers, 31-24, in a defeat that squashed Green Bay's playoff chances. Rodgers completed 26 of 45 passes for 290 yards, throwing 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions while taking 3 sacks and, surprisingly, exposing his damaged shoulder on 6 rushes that gained 43 yards. Rodgers entered with a bionic right shoulder, 2 months of rust and the flickering postseason hope of the Green Bay Packers on his back. The prospect of Rodgers' return had invigorated the Packers for a month, had given them reason to believe their uneven season could still be saved. Rodgers rearranges the parameters of the possible on a football field, and so it seemed somehow reasonable to believe, against any reasonable expectation, Rodgers could do it. It was easy to imagine. In the imagination, Rodgers was not a diminished version of himself, the Packers' imperfections were not acute and the opponent was not Cam Newton. The Packers flirted with a miracle comeback, but the Panthers were clearly the better team. NFL takes over investigation of Panthers owner Jerry Richardson. Rodgers, owing either to rust, incomplete health, the Panthers' excellent defense or some combination thereof, was not his usual self. He played with 2 metal plates and 13 screws in his surgically repaired right shoulder. His 3 interceptions matched a career high, which he had perpetrated only 3 times before, and not since November 2009. He missed passes he would typically nail his sleep. His first pass of the game, a simple out route, sailed well ahead of his intended receiver. The idea of Rodgers as savior discounted the ability of Rodgers' opponent to make an impact. Newton, recovering from his own off-season surgery, has found more and more physical comfort as the season has gone on. Sunday, Newton fired 4 touchdown passes, ran for 58 yards and punched up a 128 passer rating. The Packers now have 2 decisions to make, one immediate and one broad. Urgently, they have to determine whether Rodgers will play another down this season. With their playoff chances snuffed, the Packers have no reason to risk Rodgers' health. Brett Hundley could return to face the Vikings and Lions to finish the season, which would have a ripple effect on the NFC playoff picture. In the bigger picture, the Packers have to ask themselves honestly, were they ever good enough for Rodgers to save them? Rodgers is so skilled he can have the effect of perfuming a rotten roster. The Packers' defense lacks playmakers and pass rushers, especially as Clay Matthews ages out of his prime. According to Pro Football Focus, Green Bay's pass coverage ranks in the bottom 5 of the NFL. The Packers have tried for years to find a reliable running back, and despite flashes from rookie Jamal Williams, the search appears to be ongoing. The Packers were not good without Rodgers, going 3-4 in the 7 games Hundley started, 2 of the wins coming after wild comebacks against the horrendous Bucs and winless Browns. That's not all on Hundley. It's also about a roster built almost entirely through the draft, with some hits but also plenty of misses. The end of the NFL season would have been much richer with Rodgers still alive, fighting against long odds and terrifying other NFC contenders. After just one game, he may find himself cast as an observer again. He provided hope. In the end, the Panthers were too good and his teammates weren't good enough. The Packers are now staring into the offseason, at what comes next. Read more from the Post. NFL Week 15, Aaron Rodgers returns, the Patriots and Steelers collide, Chargers stumble against Chiefs. Hope you get your neck snapped. Anthony Barr shares hate mail over his Aaron Rodgers hit. The demons are always a breath away. Larry Johnson, convinced he has CTE, battles self-destructive impulses. NFL owners are paying Roger Goodell with a contract extension, but are they really